Oh, you're fine. You're fine. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to our meeting. I will call the meeting to order. It is Tuesday, April 23rd, 2024. This is the Putnam County Board of County Commissioner regular meeting at 9 o'clock. Today's invocation will be led by Sandra Gilliard, who is our chaplain at the hospital, and the Pledge of Allegiance will be done by Commissioner Terry Turner. All rise if you're able to do so. Ms. Gilliard, please come to the front.
Thank you. First, I just say good morning to each of you and God's blessings upon you. Let us pray. Father, in the name of Jesus. God, we come humbly before your presence. We come with praise and with thanksgiving. God, realizing without a shadow of a doubt that we can do nothing without you. God, we thank you for these men and women that dedicate their lives, God, to making sure that our county, our communities, God, run as smoothly as possible. God, we thank you for all that you have entrusted them with. God, we pray for their families because we realize, God, that many times the family may not necessarily take a back seat, but certainly give way so that the affairs of this community will be handled. God, we pray for wisdom. We pray for knowledge and understanding. And God, help us to listen to one another. God, to do things with our heart and asking ourselves, God, what is in the best interest of those that I serve. Now, God, we just continue to humble ourselves before you, and we trust you to lead and guide us in the way that you would have us to go. And we'll be ever so careful to give you praise, honor, and glory. It's in the mighty, matchless name of Jesus that we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Please join me in the pledge. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Reverend Gilliard, thank you so much for your prayer. And Commissioner Turner, thank you. Next item on our agenda is the approval of the minutes, so the chair will entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move approval of the Board of County Commissioner regular meeting minutes of March 26, 2024.
Proper motion. Do we have a second? Second. Any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. The ayes have it. Item A2.
Mr. Chair, I move approval of Board of County Commissioner workshop meeting February 20th, 2024.
Second.
Proper motion. We have a second. Any further discussion on that motion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. The ayes have it. Presentations, real quick. Shondell Goddard, you have a presentation real quick. You want to introduce somebody to us? Come on up.
Morning, Chairman.
Put that microphone right to you. Thank you.
Good morning, Chairman. Commissioners, fellow staff, I just want to introduce, this will be Rep. Payne's new district aide. This is Amanda Hayes, and I just want to make an introduction. She is with our current staff now, and I will be leaving the position on Friday. So I just want to make an introduction to you, just so you have a face with the name. Thank you.
Thank you, Shondell. Amanda, you have anything you want to say? Well, welcome. We appreciate it. We'll see you in the audience then. If you need us, give us a holler. Next on our item is 3A, proclamations, mental health awareness. I've asked Commissioner Wilkinson to do that. So, Commissioner Wilkinson, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. Putnam County Proclamation 2024-037, a proclamation to recognize May 2024 as Putnam County Mental Health Awareness Month. Whereas mental health is a part of overall health, whereas mental health sustains an individual's thought processes, relationships, productivity, and ability to adapt to change. And whereas the consequences of not addressing mental health and psychosocial development for children and adolescents extend to adulthood and limit opportunities for leading fulfilling lives. And whereas increased empathetic responses reduces the stigma of those incarcerated and struggling with mental health illness who should be given the opportunity to restorative rather than punitive treatment. Whereas, through public education and civic activities, Putnam County remains engaged in the promise to address the challenges facing people with mental health illness. And whereas Mental Health Awareness Month is an opportunity to increase public understanding of the importance of mental health and to promote the identification and treatment of mental illness. And whereas communities' understanding and available supports and services can greatly impact a person's ability to handle their stress and struggle and move forward. And whereas promoting mental health and wellness leads to higher overall productivity, better educational outcomes, lower crime rates, stronger economies, lower health care costs, improved family life, improved quality of life, and increased lifespan. And whereas each business, school, government agency, healthcare provider, faith-based organization, nonprofit agency, and citizen shares accountability for the community's mental health needs and has a responsibility to promote mental health wellness and support preventative efforts. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that the Putnam County Board of County Commissioners proclaims the month of May 2024 as Mental Health Awareness Month. Mr. Chair, I move approval of proclamation number 2024-037.
We have proper motion. We have a second. Any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign. The ayes have it. Yeah. Thank you, Commissioner Wilkinson. Next item is our proclamation for Historic Preservation Month. I've asked Commissioner Pickens to do that proclamation. You have the floor, sir.
Okay, thank you, Chairman Harvey. Cherie, Danny, do y'all want to come forward with your group? Putnam County Proclamation number 2024-038, recognizing May as Historic Preservation Month. Whereas local historic preservation is an effective tool for revitalizing neighborhoods, fostering local pride, and maintaining community character with enhancing livability, and whereas historic preservation is relevant for communities across the nation, both urban and rural, and for Americans of all ages, of all walks of life, and all ethnic backgrounds, and whereas it is important to celebrate the role of history in our lives and the contributions made by dedicated individuals in helping to preserve the tangible aspects of the heritage that has shaped us as a people. And whereas the Fruitland Peninsula Historic Society, the Putnam County Historic Society, the Interlochen Historical Society, Historic Melrose, and other community groups are participating in Historic Preservation Month during May of 2024. And whereas the Putnam County as a whole has embarked upon numerous commitments to preservation, historic archaeological surveys, nomination of significant cultural resources through the local, state, and national register of historical places, and protection of traditional neighborhoods, the integration of historic elements with redevelopment and recognition, rehabilitation, and restoration of historic properties. Therefore, on the behalf of Larry Harvey, Chairman of the Putnam County Board of County Commissioners of Florida, do by proclaim May 2024 as Historic Preservation Month and call upon the people of Putnam County, Florida, to join their fellow citizens across the United States in recognizing and participating in the special observance. Done, ordered, adopted this 23rd day of April 2024. Mr. Chairman, I make the motion that we approve this proclamation.
We have proper motion, we have a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. The ayes have it. Thank you.
Yeah, I just wanted to say thank you guys very much. This is the third year in a row that we've celebrated Historic Preservation Month. And the Fruitland Peninsula Historical Society, we have some activities going on all through the month. One of them is you'll see signs out in front of a lot of the historic buildings that say "This Place Matters," and it has a QR code on there. You can shoot the QR code with your phone, and it'll tell you all about the history of the building behind you. And so it's really kind of a neat project. We've been expanding it every year, so we'll have, I think, like 60 or 70 sites on it this year. So we appreciate your support, and we appreciate you guys celebrating Historic Preservation Month with us.
I'd just like, before we take a picture, a couple of comments. Sheree Nelson Register, her mother was Marjorie Neal Nelson, who was the town historian for years, and the families go way back, and she has taken on her mother's tasks, and we're so grateful for that. And we have Danny Miller with us, one of the Miller family, and their family goes back to operating steamships on the St. Johns River, correct, Danny? So these people have taken a great interest in the history of Putnam County, and especially in South Putnam, and I just want to thank you for all your efforts. So I'd like you to say a couple of things if you would, okay, please.
Well, first of all, most importantly, thank you for your support. Putnam County is really the heart of old Florida, and the growth is sure to come. And while we all have an eye on that growth, it's important that we keep an eye on our past and do what we can to integrate that with the growth that has come, and in doing so, maintain the wonderful character of our home. Thank you again for your support.
Thank you,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Miller.
I also want to just thank y'all for your support that we've got. My mother left me a great heritage to pass on,
She sure did.
so I've got to find a home for all that. We are going to start working on the Florida Citrus Trail. If y'all know anything about that. We had a program on it last week, and I think that's going to be a project that we take over as far as South Putnam, but they grew oranges in a lot more places than
right.
South Putnam. So,
Interlochen too, yeah.
Nicole, you want to say something for the...
So my history with the county, although it's been quite intense since I've gotten here, only goes back to my high school days of cross-country meets, which was 6 years ago when I came up. But it's certainly with a passion. My family and I came here just about 10 years ago, and it's beautiful. It's beautiful in the memories that we have and the support that we have for one another. So I'm currently president of the Putnam County Historical Society, and being able to work with my friends here, because they are now my friends, to further our the historic elements of our community and share those and expand the offerings to our community is wonderful. But thank you very much for your support. I know you guys are here every single time, and we appreciate it because we know it's diligent work on your part.
Thank you.
Why don't y'all come up and we'll get a picture? We're going to stay in the back. So come right on up here. You're doing good. You're doing good. Oh, yeah? Okay. That's all.
3, 2, 1.
Thank you. Thank you.
I couldn't see it if I had to.
See in the audience, Representative Bobby Payne's here. Welcome to the Putnam County Chamber. I always wanted to do that, like the Florida House. I'm sorry, Bobby, I just couldn't resist. Representative Payne, it's always good to have you in our presence, and thank you for all your hard work you've done for Putnam County. Mr. Sam Carr, Waterways and Trails, if you'll come up. You said you can do this in 6 minutes, so no, we're going to do it in 6 minutes, Sam.
Well, thank you for the opportunity to speak to you on behalf of the Putnam County Waterways and Trails Committee. I was asked to present to you basically the status of the Bartram Trail in Florida, trail here in Putnam County. As you know, this is the week that starts the 8th annual Bartram Frolic here on the front on the riverfront, and we'll be frolicking on Friday night especially, and all day Saturday and Sunday as well. So hope to bring several thousand people to the riverfront and all. So this all started at the Waterways Committee with Nancy Harris. We were asked in one of our meetings, did anything important or historical happen in the riverfront in Palatka? Well, I had just finished a paddling trip with my friend Dean Campbell, and found out that there was a guy by the name of William Bartram that actually lived here for a while, and he wrote America's first literary masterpiece called Travels. And right there in the pages 100 or so, there's Palatka. Unbelievable, and it was really an inspiration to us all at the time. So I mentioned it to Nancy, and so she said, Sam, you're the chairman of the Bartram Trail and Putnam County Committee. So that's how this thing got started. And we started inviting people from out of town into here to tell us, was it really true? And it turned out to be very much true. So the county and the city took us on as a project. And so the county and the city sponsored us with a Florida Humanities Council grant. And by doing that, we were able to develop the Bartram Trail in Putnam County as we know it today. The city provided help with writing the grants and the River Center and those kind of things. The county provided us with meeting space and really support. They just enabled us. Every time we needed to get something done, you know, Nancy was there stomping her foot and getting it done. It was great, and we appreciated all of that. And so, lo and behold, we came up and we made it a trail. We had a brochure, and the National Park Service found out about it, and they came to town saying, we'd like to make it a national park, a national recreation trail. And I said, as long as I don't have to do anything, fine. But they did, and within just a matter of a year or so, we became a national recreation trail. And that kind of started the Bartram Frolic because we did it as a celebration for the National Recreation Trail. So the actual first frolic was here in 2017, and we had a symposium at the Larimer as part of the Humanities Council grant. And we invited folks, and we didn't know how many we'd have. We had room for 75, and we had 100 show up. And I asked them, how many of you from Putnam County? And there was about 20 that were from Putnam County. The rest of them were not from Putnam County. And that's really how it was the inspiration for us to do this thing. So the frolic started as a celebration of the St. Johns River and Bartram's heritage here. And in 2019, the committee transformed into a 501c, which became the Bartram Trail Society of Florida. And then following that year, we had the St. Johns River Keeper and the Putnam County School District started an education program. And so that education program starts tomorrow morning again. And so we bring in second graders, and every second grader in Putnam County for the last 5 or 6 years has been treated to a boat ride and to learn about the St. Johns River and the Bartram stuff. We've educated over 4,000 second graders on that riverfront. And then, of course, we start the frolic out this week will be Friday at 6 o'clock. You've all received invitations to our VIP frolic, and we hope that you'll be there because we'll have some Bartram food and some entertainment from our living history folks. Prior to that, at 6 o'clock, we're going to be celebrating, the city of Palatka is celebrating their Trail Town designation, their Gateway Community designation, and their Blueway Community designation. Will be at 6 o'clock there with a whole bunch of bicyclers and so forth. And they're also celebrating the opening of the River Center and the reopening of the River Center and the walkway underneath. So a lot of stuff going on, and we appreciate it, and we hope that you'll be involved with it. But I don't spend a lot of time here in Putnam County anymore. And the reason is because we got another bunch of counties that have taken up the idea, and they're doing it. So on the 13th of April, I was at Nassau County, and we had a big celebration as part of their historical week up there, and with the launching the Bartram Trail of Nassau County. Last weekend, we were in Clay County with the Parks and Rec Department at Camp Chewinwa. We launched the Clay County Bartram Trail up there. This week, we're doing the Frolic here. On May the 3rd and 4th, we'll be in Alachua County, launching the Alachua County Bartram Trail. St. Johns County is May the 11th. So it's really amazing. And all of this is to recognize that this is the 250th anniversary of William Bartram paddling here to Palatka. He stayed at Stokes Landing, what was called the Lower Store, and made his travels up and down the river from there. And then he wrote the book, and the rest is history. And it all started here in these rooms. So we thank you.
Thank you,
We hope
Sam.
you'll come and participate with us.
Thank you, Sam.
Have other members of the society here with me too, so.
Yep, thank you. And you did well. You did it in 6 minutes, as you said. So you did good. Do want to recognize real quick Colonel Joe Wells. He was the Man of the Year with the American Boy Scouts the other day, and we appreciate you. Thank you. Couldn't be more deserving for somebody like you to get that, so I appreciate it, and all the hard work you do with the Boy Scouts in this region. Nancy Russo, SMA Healthcare, a CTTU update.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Hard to believe that this is the 6th year I've come up before the board to give this report. But in your packet is the final numbers for the grant and the ability to meet all of the deliverables as they were expected, except for we did miss one CIT class this last year due to scheduling conflicts with the college. So otherwise, all of our numbers have exceeded or met what was required when you look at how many adults we were required to serve. For the year, it was 263, which is 159% of what was required. And for, that was the adolescents. The adults served was 732, which was 183% of what was required. So we had a really good year of being able to provide services to our targeted population. So over the 6 years, I wanted to just give you all a glance of what this grant and the partnership with the county has been able to do. So as far as law enforcement hours saved in 6 years, it was 2,940 hours. We were able to divert 92 Baker Acts, which means if someone came to us, instead of having to place them under a 72-hour hold, we were able to provide those services right then that was able to give them the stability they needed instead of going to that higher level of care. We transported 1,077 adults over that 6-year period, 215 adolescents, and we were able to transport 458 people back to the community to keep them engaged in treatment. And then every time one of the deputies or anyone from law enforcement brings us somebody to transport, our number one question was, could they have been arrested had they not been placed under a Baker Act? Was what they did for somebody who didn't have mental health issues, something they would have been arrested for. And out of all of our transports, 423 people could have been arrested. So that shows that, number one, mental health, first aid, and CIT are working because they're able to distinguish the difference between something that may be a true criminal act and something that could have been mental health related. So when I spoke to the Sheriff's Department about that, they said if somebody is incarcerated, the average length of stay has been 39 days. And if you multiply that by how much it costs to be in jail per day, we were able to in some way, shape, or form, a percentage of it could have been $1.7 million if those people had been arrested and stayed that average number of days. So we think the program has been very successful, and we have appreciated the partnership. And as of March 31st, the grant was over. We are able to provide limited services for the Sheriff's Department Monday through Friday, at least until the end of the year or the beginning of 2025, as we continue to look for funding to get it back up to a better level of service. Any
Thank you.
questions?
Any questions, Commissioner? Thank you very much.
You're
We
welcome.
appreciate you coming. Our next item on the agenda, Ms. Lori Parker, you have a Employee of the Month.
Morning.
Good morning, Ms. Parker.
The Employee of the Month for March is Amanda Gabriel. Amanda is the GIS Analyst 2 for the IT department. In addition to her excelling at all her job duties, she actually is the GIS mapping genius for the department. James is going to give you some more information on her accomplishments and what she has done to help the county and the Sheriff's Office.
Sure. Good morning, Commissioners and staff. Amanda is definitely a shining star in the GIS division. Amanda's dedication and hard work have made her an invaluable asset to our team. As an outstanding analyst and researcher, she has created numerous GIS applications both for internal and external use, meaning for internal use for staff as well as our citizens up here in Putnam County, displaying her commitment to excellence. Amanda's quick turnaround time and responsiveness has been critical, like when she quickly provided paper mats for a critical and crucial search and rescue operation down in Willaca just a few weeks ago, helping with the Sheriff's Office and Department of Emergency Services. Our current project, the County Reference Map, promises even greater impact when it's released here in the next couple of weeks. Amanda, truly you are exceptional. I really mean that from the bottom of my heart, and we congratulate you and are grateful for all that you do. So congratulations, this well-deserved recognition. All of my staff, I'll go up here. We'll take a picture real quick.
Come on up. Come on up. Probably ought to stay up here. Congratulations. All right, next on our agenda, Planning and Development. Zach, you have a rezone.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
For the record, Zachary Baker, Planning and Development Services. I am going to turn this presentation over to Jennifer in just a moment. I do want to remind you all, due to the requirements of Florida Statute 125.665B, this is the first of two public hearings for a rezone because it's larger than 10 acres. So that being said, Jennifer Gazelle.
So Zach, real quick, explain to the audience who's watching and who's here what that means, because, go ahead.
Certainly. So Florida statutes anticipates that citizens of the county may want to be interested in rezoning of land. And for that reason, anytime there's more than 10 acres of land being rezoned, the statutes require that the Board of County Commissioners, specifically the Board of County Commissioners, not their designees, conduct two public hearings for the consideration of a rezone. So for that reason, since the property that we're referring to is 224 acres, we have to do two public hearings. So today will be the first public hearing, more or less to inform the audience of what's occurring down in Georgetown area. And then at the end of this public hearing, Depending on how the chairman so cares to conduct this portion of the public hearing, we will decide when the second public hearing will be conducted.
Yeah, so the only thing we'll do today is set a date and time as a board. So go.
Yep.
All right, Jennifer, you have the floor. I'm sorry. Yes, and there's another public hearing at that point.
Good morning, everyone. Jennifer Gazelle for the record. This application is to amend the zoning map from planned unit development and agriculture to residential estate. The applicant is David Pepper. The subject property is all 224 acres of Hog Island, totaling 22 parcel ID numbers. Future land use is agriculture. Current zoning is PUD and agriculture. This proposal is to amend the zoning map to allow development of a private luxury community. The purpose of the requested zoning map amendment is to rezone all 224 acres of Hog Island from planned unit development, PUD Ordinance 1997-04, and agriculture to residential estate to allow for development of a private luxury residential community, which would be reviewed and processed as a platted subdivision dependent on the outcome of the subject request. Based on the supplied conceptual plan of what could be developed, the community could comprise of a total of 22 single-family waterfront lots ranging from 5.9 to 14.6 acres. Lot sizes are subject to change when the plat is reviewed by the Development Review Committee. The island is currently encumbered by a PUD development agreement, Isle of St. John's, Ordinance 1997-04, which expired 5 years after being approved in 1997, as no development occurred consistent with the phasing schedule of said development agreement. Additionally, the island is also encumbered by a platted subdivision, Hog Island Subdivision Map Book 4, page 108, in which road and drainage improvements were not completed. We have our aerial view of Hog Island, zoning map, future land use, the conceptual subdivision that the applicants provided. The residential estate zoning district is implemented traditionally for larger 1 acre or more, depending on the residential density parcels located on navigable waterways, and to implement residential policies of the agriculture and rural residential use categories. The RE zoning district is compatible with the current future land use category assigned to Hog Island. The proposed rezone also provides an assured use that the lands on Hog Island can only be used for single-family residential development. Other lands on the island are zoned agriculture, which allows the development of mobile homes and several other uses to the approved special use permit. The subject zoning amendment proposal is an effective down zoning, which limits development to those compatible with the RE zoning district. The proposed zoning map amendment is compatible with the surrounding uses. Should the Hog Island rezone be approved, it will then move forward through the Type 1 subdivision replat process. There will be 3 hearings to review subdivision development and plat approval. 1 preliminary hearing before the Planning Commission and 2 hearings before the Board of County Commissioners. Once the plat is approved, the applicant will then submit to Development Review Committee to satisfy additional development requirements. The DRC will review plans to ensure the development is compliant with local, state, and federal development regulations. Agencies including but not limited to Florida Department of Health, Putnam County Public Works, Emergency Services, St. Johns River Water Management District will review plans to ensure the development will not adversely affect surrounding properties. Staff finds that the proposed rezoning is consistent with the goals, objectives, and policies of the adopted comprehensive plan and meets the locational requirements of the residential estate zoning district provided in the Land Development Code and the comprehensive plan. Staff recommends approval of the request to amend the zoning map from planned unit development and agriculture to residential estate. The Planning Commission voted unanimously to recommend approval of the rezoning application at the scheduled public hearing on March 13, 2024. Questions?
Commissioners, any questions?
Not at this time.
Okay. Thank you very much. Is the applicant here and wishes to speak? Mr. Kennedy, if you would, state your name and address for the record, please.
Good morning, Patrick Kennedy, 126 Feagle Avenue, Pomona Park, Florida.
Yeah, if you could put that microphone right to you. There you go.
I don't usually have to move the microphone up, so it's usually the other way. I'm here on behalf of the applicant, the Peppers. Don't have a lot to add. The staff report is fairly comprehensive. The presentation was fairly comprehensive. Obviously, we agree with the recommendation of the staff and the Planning Commission to rezone this Hog Island to residential estate zoning. I would only reemphasize some of the points made that this is the most conservative rezoning that the applicants could request and still remain compatible with the future land use and the surrounding area. And I think it also demonstrates their intent to do large lot residential only on this island. So we ask that you keep that in mind as you consider this matter. We are kind of in a situation where we have to rezone this property. Nobody wants to recognize the prior PUD, and that leaves the property in limbo. And your own land development code says if we're not going to recognize or renew the PUD, then we need to rezone it to something compatible with the land use and surrounding properties. And that's what we're asking for here today. The applicants are here to answer any questions regarding the vision you may have, or if you have any technical questions, staff or myself, if I can help, we'll be glad to answer those. So,
Mr. Kennedy, I have a question for you.
yes.
When I first looked at this, and islands are not uncommon in Putnam County, and the services for those islands are very complicated. We don't have ferries, and we don't have certain things, fire suppression being one of them. You're going to sell these lots and put people over there who are going to expect certain services that we can't provide. There's just no way we're going to do that. So I guess during the DRC, that'll be brought up of how you're going to accomplish the fire suppression, the trash, the maintenance of roads, things like that, because I don't think it's prudent for us to put that on the backs of the taxpayers of Putnam County who don't live on the island. And that'll be a more expensive proposition. I hate to say taxes aren't fair, but they're not. But in this case, they're really not fair when you choose to live on an island. So that's just a concern of mine. I just wanted to say that. Be mindful of that's a concern of mine. I don't know what it means to other people.
We've already had some preliminary discussions with staff because they share your concerns. And I think we're on the path to providing answers to all those issues. We also hope that the nature of the development, the taxes that will be derived from the development, I'm not saying it's going to pay for all the issues you brought up, but we hope it will bring considerable value to the ad valorem revenue for the county.
Any other comments, commissioners?
Yeah, Chairman Howard, those are some of my concerns, and I guess we'll talk about maybe those a little more at the second meeting. I understand the tax base, there's no question about that, but there's not a road to get there, so it's going to require, if we don't have the equipment, to purchase equipment to be able to provide those people with the services they're going to expect. And I think it does say in the packet that the garbage will be taken over by a barge or something to a piece of property, but that's my biggest concern because it will fall back on the county not providing these services if they don't get provided, if you see where I'm coming from.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Same thing. We understand that. The development can't happen until we come back through you guys with the plat for approval, and hopefully all those questions will be addressed at that time.
Okay, and that will be through
we've already started down that path, but there's options, and we want to work with staff to figure out what those best options are.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Any further questions? Okay, we don't have any. Does the applicant want to speak, or are they satisfied? Okay. All right. Thank you, Patrick. Is anybody in the audience for this project? You got some blue cards? Or against this project? And so let's go through the... Okay, Mr. Bruce McCutcheon. You will have 3 minutes to, and time will be kept on that.
My name is Bruce McCutcheon. I reside at 123 Georgetown Landing Road, Georgetown, Florida. I think most of the neighbors in the area are not concerned with the actual rezoning of the island. It's more or less, when you mention like the garbage service and stuff, transported by barge to where? You know, and parking and marina facilities for the island. Where do they exist? Materials transfer to the island. These are concerns that I'm adjacent to Mr. Pepper's property at 119 or 121, which is where I would assume the transfer of these materials and such would be at. And I think that's more the concern, is that this hasn't been referenced at all. It's simply been put down to the rezoning of the island itself, but it's the peripheral situations that I think most of the local residents in the area have concerns with.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Right. Thank you.
Thank you. Steve Norman and Jerry Wilson, if you'll be up on deck. Jerry Wilson here. Okay, if you'll come up and be next in line. Good morning, Mr. Norman.
Good morning. Steve Norman, I'm one of the owners of Idlewild Resort, located at 120 Georgetown Landing Road in Georgetown, Florida. Being new to the area a few years ago when we purchased the old Porky's Landing, I faced many more hurdles than I expected at the time of the purchase. And when you look at the PUDs and development of property, I support the development of Hog Island. I do understand the residents' concerns because we talk about it on a regular basis, but I think that development with the increase in tax base and bringing new revenue to the area can only help the southern end of Putnam County. So from a business owner standpoint, I think allowing the rezoning, I think, is the way to go. So,
Thank you, Mr. Norman.
Thank you, Mr. Norman.
Ms. Wilson? And then Judy York, if you'll be up on deck, please. Start making your way down.
Good morning. My name is Jerry Wilson. My husband and I live at 103 Georgetown Landing Road. Our property is adjacent to 121 and 125 Georgetown Landing Road, behind the 2 lots to the northeast. Our property has been in our family for over 20 years. We are doing our best to preserve the peace and quiet and the small town atmosphere of Georgetown. On page 31 of today's agenda, the lots on Georgetown Landing Road are mentioned as part of the Hog Island rezoning project to include parking, docking, and trash removal for 22 residences. This would require a major land use change and will negatively affect Georgetown Landing residences and homeowners. In fact, 125 Georgetown Landing Road does not have any frontage on the road, on the paved road, and is nestled in between our property and Bruce's property. And that his property is on the paved road. Turning the 2 lots into commercial property and docking facilities, not to mention the barge for trash removal, will impact the peace and privacy of all the neighbors. There are notice of public hearings on the property sign on Georgetown Landing Road, so last week I was trying to obtain more information about the hearing. Luckily, I was able to consult with an attorney, and he was able to provide me with the agenda to give me this information. I am not against rezoning a beautiful island so people can enjoy life. However, when it comes to the expense of others, it's time to litigate. I know this hearing is not about rezoning Georgetown Landing Road, but since it's part of the plan, maybe an alternate plan needs to be considered. I found it interesting that one of my presentations at today's meeting was the proclamation for May as Historic Preservation Month. Many communities were mentioned, to include Fruitland, Melrose, etc. It would be nice to include Georgetown on that list. I appreciate you giving me the time to talk today. Thank you all for your time and your service.
Thank you. Thank you. Ms. York? And then Madeline Wilcox, if you'll be up on deck.
Good morning. I'm Judith York. I live at 142 Drayton Island Road. I've been a full-time resident of life. I support this change. I support David Pepper's projects. Everything he's touched is first class. He's taken into account of all aspects of what the county would want. He's actually even taken a historical landmark in Georgetown, the schoolhouse, and revamped that. I also am an assistant manager for the basin that's over that a lot of the residents of Drayton Island stay at, as well as some of the other marinas. I hold 39 vehicles plus, and it's a small area, but we can control it, and there isn't this ton of noise or anything. As far as trash pickup, it can be very coordinated with the dumpster. I'm sure Mr. Pepper and they're all thinking about it. They may actually have incinerators, whatever. There's modern technology out there, so I support this rezoning, and whatever happens on the mainland, I'm sure it'll be addressed appropriately. Thank you.
Good to see you again. Thank you, Ms. York. And Ms. Wilcox, please.
We'll have to move this up. Hi, my name is Madeline Wilcox. I live on 266 Drayton Island Road. I grew up in North Central Florida, and it's been a lifelong dream of mine to live on the St. Johns River, which I just recently moved back from California, and I have been there for the past 2 years. I also live in a historical home. I'm a huge fan of Bartram Trail. So considering all that with the historicity and the environmental impact, I actually spoke to Mr. Pepper, and as I understood it, it was 10 homes on 10-acre parcels. So minimally, I mean, the environmental impact, I think, would be minimal, whereas the economic impact would be substantial, potentially. And I think our county could definitely use that. And in regards to the taxes, having just moved from San Luis Obispo County, Florida, I can tell you, I mean, California, I had twice as much acreage, and my taxes were just reassessed, and I am paying double what I was in one of the most expensive counties in California. So I can't imagine that this would not be beneficial, and that we would be able to figure out a way to provide services. I'm confident that that could happen. So, yeah, so I am for the rezoning as a local, and I have empathy for the neighbors on Georgetown Landing Road, but I'm confident that something can be figured out with that as well. Thank you.
Ms. Wilcox. Thank you. Anybody else want to speak in favor or against this project? All right, we'll close the public hearing part of that. And commissioners, we need to set a date, a future date and time.
What is the date of the next county commission meeting?
It would be May 14th.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we have our next meeting on May 14th at 9 o'clock or soon thereafter as possible.
We have proper motion. We have a second?
Second.
Proper second. Any further discussion on that motion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign. The ayes have it. Thank you very much. Now we're going to go into our public comment on agenda items. This portion of the agenda is designed to allow citizens an opportunity to bring matters to the attention of the board. It's not reasonable to expect that the board will engage in debate or deliberations about matters in which the board has received no prior information as part of the agenda. We will limit your comments to 3 minutes. Public comment cards are conveniently placed in the meeting room at the entrance and should be submitted prior to the meeting to the deputy clerk, who sits on my left, your right, Miss Ashley over here. So on the first, do we have any public comments? And I think I'm getting the cards now.
These are all new business.
Okay. Oh, okay.
These are all under new business.
Okay. So we'll go ahead and take up we're going to take up our new business comments real quick under the public comment section of this agenda. So our first person is Mr. Creel, Alan Creel. That's not you, sir? Mr. Creel. Yeah, we're talking agenda items that are listed on the agenda. Please come up and state your name.
Hi, I'm Alan Creel, 4630 Apache Avenue, Jacksonville, Florida. Grew up here in Putnam County. Love the area. The mighty St. Johns River is a wonderful river. A lot of great things that can be done, and from fishing enjoyment and tourism that the river brings. I come today to speak on behalf of the bridge lighting project and my experience with lighting of bridges, particularly in the North Florida area. I've been a part of the maintenance and installation of lighting for Hart, Main Street, Fuller Warren, Hathaway Bridge, and all 7 of the movable bridges in District 2 for DOT. We've seen a lot of benefit in the North Florida area with this bridge lighting from tourism as well as the safety aspects of having the bridge piers lit. And then the technology of the LEDs improving over the lifespan from the time that we first started installing them, 20 years ago into where they are today. And the lifespan of these can get up to 100,000 hours, which if you burn these at 6 hours a day, you would roughly have 45 years worth of lifespan on these. So we'd love to share all of our experience with that and say that we're in favor of it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Commissioners, I'm going to do something a little different because we're going to go on to, is there anybody else in the audience want to speak on any other agenda items other than bridge lighting on the new business? Okay, we're going to close that real quick. Commissioners, consent agenda items. Commissioner Pickens.
Item A.
Item A. Commissioner Adamsack. Commissioner Turner.
Item B.
Commissioner Wilkinson.
I have none.
And I have none. Commissioner Pickens, you have first.
Yeah, there needs to be a correction on the number. Julianne, you want to tell us what the number is?
Yes, sir. The agenda item, there was a typographical error, and so the actual payment there is going to be the job growth, not the 80%. Generally do a comparison. This year, the job growth is actually less than what the 80% is. So when we copy and pasted the recommended action, I just copy and pasted the wrong number for you. So that number there is going to be the 3 point, let me pull it up for you. 915. 467.
Repeat that again, please.
It's $3,915,467.
No cents.
No, sir.
Okay. So $3,915,457.00.
Yeah, if you look up in your agenda item, you'll see year 4, it has an either or, job creation with a per job cost or value, or not to exceed 80% of the ad valorem. So when you do the math, the job creation is actually less than the 80%, and so the recommended action should read to remit the payment in the amount of the $3,915,467.
Okay, and this is a, really quick, this was a prior board decision to incentivize Georgia Pacific to build another part of their plant here. And this is, I think, year 4 of a 5-year commitment of keeping Georgia Pacific in Putnam County, which is a good thing. Commissioner Pickens, you still have the floor, sir.
I'll go ahead and make a motion to accept item A, repayment to Georgia Pacific with the corrected number of $3,915,467.
A proper motion. We have a second. Proper second. Any further discussion on item A? Hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. The ayes have it. Commissioner Adamsack, is that item B? Was that you?
That was me.
That was Commissioner Turner. I'm sorry.
I had to pull item B because I have a conflict of interest and can't vote on it.
Okay. Duly noted. So,
I'll make a motion that we accept item B, the procurement for the Crescent City Library roof at $58,833. I'll make that motion.
Second.
a proper motion, proper second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor with Commissioner Turner abstaining from the vote? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. The ayes have it. And
Mr. Chair, I move approval of consent agenda item C.
thank you, Commissioner Wilkinson. Okay, proper motion, proper second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign. The ayes have it. We're going to go down to new business real quick, and we'll get back to appointments. We're going to be moving the lighting up to the main thing, because that's most of our, Mr. Creel, thank you for already speaking about that. And we'll go on to So this is under new business, Memorial Bridge lighting. And next on our blue cards, Mr. Elliott Kane. Please remind me to go back to 7. Okay. Thank you.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning, Mr.
I
Kane.
am Elliott Kane. I live at 546 County Road 207A in East Palatka. And I'm coming today to speak in support of the bridge lights. You know, you talk about the bridge lights, but the bridge has been lit before. They put red and green lights on it. I don't think any of y'all were born then. And I understand it made the newspaper, but I don't think I could read then. But I did ride over the bridge, the old bridge. They replaced the globes with red and green lights at Christmas. Now, can you imagine we go to 2024 and look at the opportunity for the bridge? And I hope we have unanimous support on this, because now we have all the different options that can be, and the gentleman talked about the maintenance at 100,000 hours. It seems pretty practical. Now we can have red and green lights in the entire bridge, but we can also have red, white, and blue at 4th of July. We can have green for St. Patrick's Day. We can have orange and blue when Florida finally beats Georgia. Yes. And then, of course, we can have garnet and gold when Florida. But I said I wanted to have a unanimous vote on this. So. But I can tell you, every school child in Putnam County, it was a huge project. And I cannot draw a stick man, but we all tried to draw our little things of the bridge. So it was very positive. But I think that recently I was in charge of building and grounds at First Presbyterian Church on the river. And the question we came into was how and why. Why should you do this? Really, why should you do this? And we face the same problem at First Presbyterian Church. Why should we light up the church on the outside? But our decision was kind of tempered. We had to pay for it. It wasn't a gift from the state. And the logic was we did not want the church to look like the Hampton Inn. We wanted the church to look more like the courthouse that they've done, or the County Board of Education, how they've done. But that was very difficult for us. So we decided to light it from the inside, which made it even more difficult, because you can imagine we had to put molding on the inside of 100-year-old walls that had plaster. There were all sorts of complications. Now the congregation said, okay, we understand how you want to do it, but why should you do it? Why should you spend this money for it? What is the right decision for Putnam County and for our little church on the river? We had just spent a lot of money. We had an organ that was donated in 1906. We had taken the bell out that the city put in the bell tower in 1906, and rehung the bell. So funds were kind of limited, and it became the why. Well, the why was because it was the right thing to do. It's something that, even driving by, it's a fundamental part of the downtown, and obviously you cannot take the Memorial Bridge that's not a fundamental part of Putnam County. You can imagine, am I running out of time?
You're out.
I'm out?
You're out.
Can I just say one thing?
That's
I would ask you to be from the philosopher of that Hank Williams, when he said, I saw the wrong, but I moved to the right, but praise the Lord, I saw the light.
Sorry.
We're not supposed to clap, but that was pretty good. I have to say, okay?
Who's controlling your meeting?
Jenny Robbins? Thank you.
I'm short, so I have to put it down. Good morning, I'm Jenny Robbins, 104 Blanchard Avenue, Palatka, Florida. I'm a lifelong resident. I frequently own that river, and I love this community. Today, I'm here representing the Putnam County Chamber of Commerce. As I serve as their chair board this year, we would like to express our support for the Memorial Bridge lighting. We believe this project will enhance the growing vibrancy of downtown, which will lead to economic impact, resulting in economic development, investments, and tourism. These beautiful lights will boost community pride, create positive coverage, comments from the media, and serve as a memorable icon for Putnam County. We thank you for everything you do and your time and consideration with this lighting. Thank you.
Thank you, Jenny. Thank you.
Thank
you. Next up is Colin Bingham. And on deck is Breck Sloan after that.
everybody. Colin Bingham, 113 Marina Road here in Palatka. I'm here with my hat as the president of the Main Street Palatka program that was recently reorganized. And through the Department of State, we've declared the bridge as the gateway to Palatka, and they are 100% in support of the bridge lighting, as are we. And if we can help out in any way, we are here to do so. So again, thank you, and again, we have 100% support. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Rex Sloan.
Thank you, Commissioners, and thank you for your service. The Memorial Bridge, transportation, the river crossing is at the core of our community. Palatka was founded in 1821 because it was named River Crossing. I don't think we really understand and appreciate every day we travel that bridge. A professional recently came into our community and shared with me, Palatka has a great asset, Putnam County's river. And I said, yes, I agree with you. And he said, no, what you don't understand is this community's blessing is that it has a dramatic entrance. I go to communities all over this country. I've never seen one quite so pretty. You get to the crest of the Memorial Bridge and you look down. He said, and that's in either direction, east or west. They said, and you say, wow, what a beautiful community. And you know you have arrived. This past week, Putnam County was viewed on national television all over our country. Can you imagine the eyeballs on the Memorial Bridge lit up at night? Faced with difficult decisions, I like to relate things, analogies. I'm a car person, so I'm going to give you a car analogy. If the state of Florida showed up at your door, said, I'd like to give you a car, a nice one at that, but the obligation to receive this gift is that you have to put fuel in it, and you might have to pay some maintenance along the way if you use it. I don't know many citizens in Putnam County that would refuse that gift. I know this decision may be a controversial one for this board, and I'm reminded of a quote by Art Williams. The only way to not be controversial is to be average and ordinary. And I believe that Putnam County is anything but average and ordinary. It's time to turn our front porch light on, light up our dramatic stage, to shine the light on our beautiful county for the entire world to see. It is our time. I support the lighting of the Memorial Bridge. Thank you all, and God bless.
Thank you. Mr. Charlie Douglas.
Good morning.
Good
Charlie
morning.
Douglas, 117 North 2nd Street. Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, thank you for the opportunity to share my thoughts this morning. I rise in support of the lighting of the bridge. It's a great way to make Palatka memorable, visible, and it will assist with the revitalization of downtown. I urge your support. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. And we have another card. Thank you, Ms. Ashley. Representative Bobby Payne.
Good morning, members. It's a pleasure to be with you again today. You know, I just want to speak in favor of the lighting of the bridge. I think I've spoken to each one of you individually at some point in time over the last year. And over my time in the legislature in the last few years, I've vacillated on this decision. And it's a tough decision. It's a risk-reward decision for each of you. I think for our community, looking at the risk compared to reward, to me it's very obvious that the reward outweighs the risk. I can tell you that if we don't use this opportunity now, some other community will use the opportunity to take this dollars and spend it somewhere else. It will go back to FDOT. They will use it for some other community that's waiting in line for this opportunity. I think you've heard this morning of the growth we've seen along the river, the opportunities that we recognize in our community that maybe the natives recognized 200 years ago, that the river is certainly a place of benefit for a community. But I believe also that if you look at the history of the last few years, we'll be designated as a port city. That port city will enhance the value for maritime growth and enhancing the lighting and the safety that the lighting on the bridge can bring, as well as the aesthetics of downtown development for the community, is worth the risk. And so I would humbly ask that each of you consider this and vote in favor of it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Representative Payne. Is there anybody else in the audience that was wishing to speak for or against? Mr. Alexander, did I miss you? I must have. I'm sorry, I probably missed it.
Oh, that's okay.
My apologies.
Jeremy Alexander, 134 Timber Lane. Mr. Chairman, commissioners, staff, I'm here like everyone else today in support of the Memorial Bridge project. My wife and I own a very small business in downtown Palatka, but we do spend quite a bit of time talking about how we as a community come out of the shadows of our neighboring counties. A lot of that time and energy is spent talking about how we get people to stop passing through. And we're not just the town that, oh, I know Palatka on our way to St. Augustine, or we're leaving St. Augustine, and we drive through Palatka on our way to Gainesville every day. So we believe this Memorial Bridge lighting project sheds some light on how we encourage those passersby to stop, to stare, and to share. So we encourage your support of this project. We appreciate your time today. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Alexander. Is there anybody else in the audience that wants to speak in favor or against? Okay, commissioners, we're going to discuss this item right now. Administration, it's under your purview, so do you want to take it or let us have it?
No, sir, Mr. Chairman. You guys go ahead and give us our direction that you'd like for us to move forward with this here this morning. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Wilkerson. You have the floor. You just motioned to me.
Yes, thank you. I just want to remind us how we got to where we're at today. We started this, it was originally brought to the Board of County Commissioners on September 12th of 2023 under new business. During that meeting, we did not take a vote, but we did discuss going and talking to other cities. I presented the project to the city of Palatka on January 11th. Again, as a presentation, no votes were taken. However, the city commission, all commissioners seemed like they were in favor of the project, but stated obviously that the county had a much larger budget. We did take a vote on February 13th, which ended up with a 3-2 vote to move forward with the project, but we requested our board attorney to communicate with FDOT that Putnam County wanted to have the ability to terminate the construction and maintenance agreement as the county deemed necessary. Mr. Commando reached out to FDOT, and on April 2nd, we received an email, and the email basically stated that they had reviewed the request. However, they would not make any changes to the maintenance and construction agreement, just like they have not made any other changes to any other city or county in the state. In speaking with FDOT, they compared it to the same as installing streetlights and turning them over to local governments to maintain. They said the terms of the construction and maintenance agreement needs to remain for FDOT to move forward with designing the project, which is why we're here today. In FDOT's 5-year work plan, a design build for US 17 Memorial Bridge Lighting Project for fiscal year 2028 is $17.7 million from state funds. If approved, FDOT would handle the entire project from start to finish. The estimated delivery cost of the $17.7 million is inclusive of design, construction, engineering, permitting, inspection, and any other activities to facilitate the completion. These dollars, again, are projected out to be delivered in 2028 with no cost to Putnam County. The design is currently on hold, awaiting the decision from the Board of County Commissioners. I do have some photos. If we can bring those up, I would appreciate that while I finish my discussion. I would like to address a few concerns that were brought up at the last commission meeting. $20,000 is what we received estimated for the electricity, the operating costs from DOT. In speaking with DOT, that they are assuming the highest maximum amount of the project. And they're also moving that money to 2028 with the lights illuminating from daylight to dark 365 days a year. Sometimes when you review an agreement or a contract, it's not only what it says, but it's also what it doesn't say. And in this contract, or in this agreement, nowhere in the agreement does it say how long the lights have to be on for. So to the point that Mr. Krill made for Miller Electric, we don't necessarily have to have it on 12 hours a day. If you want to extend the life of it or lower the electricity bill, you can certainly just turn it on the weekend nights and on holidays. So if the $20,000 a year is what's hanging this board up, please consider that we do have options of lessening the amount of time on the lights. It's also worth noting that $20,000 from our current $56 million budget equals 0.00035 of our budget. If projected out 20 years from now, of course, our budget would be much more. With a 15 to 20-year life expectancy of the lights and a 1 to 5 year parts warranty, depending on who the manufacturer is, the LED bridge lights are built to be waterproof and designed to factor in vibration, water elements such as direct sun, constant exposure to humidity, salt from the river, rising water, and more. And in speaking with the gentleman from Miller Electric, he also noted that a lot of the lights are the same kind of lights that they put in car washes, so they're used to water being poured on them at a high speed. It's also worth noting that the existing Palaca Memorial Bridge was built in 1976, and in 2028, if the bridge lights are approved, the bridge will be 52 years old. The bridge lights are expected to last 15 to 20 years. 20 years from the lights being installed, the bridge will then be 72 years old. The life expectancy of a concrete bridge is 75 to 80 years. All new bridges currently being installed in the state of Florida are built with LED colored lights. It is reasonable to think that when the life of the Palaca Memorial Bridge is up, the entire bridge and light system could be replaced at the same time in the future using state and federal funds. According to the FDOT website, just a little note I found interesting, the average daily traffic count in 2020 for the Palaca Memorial Bridge is around 31,000 passenger vehicles daily. The average future daily traffic in 2042, 18 years from now, is 53,785. It is important to recognize that by the time these lights are due for replacement, technology will also be different than it is today. The chances of these lights to become solar or even potentially water-powered could certainly be the situation in the future. Another thing that was brought up was the concern of an unfunded mandate of a large amount of money. And speaking with, I've done a lot of research on this, and also with the City of Jacksonville when they're building and maintenance supervisor, and I have some different numbers if we need to discuss those. But I also want to bring up that according to paragraph 8 of the agreement, if a deficiency is not corrected, there are 3 options. Only one of those options is that DOT will provide us an invoice if it wasn't paid. Another option in that is the county can remove the improvement and restore the property to its prior condition. So, I know a number was thrown out of $10 million in the future of a possibility of a cost. However, if it's not something that we could fund, we do have the option in the agreement that says that we can remove the improvement off of the bridge. FDOT currently has $243 million for Putnam County in their 5-year work plan. The same state grants that are financing the bridge project are also supporting much-needed repairs to the streets and sidewalks in downtown Palaca. And as Mr. Commissioner Pickens reminded us, we are all Putnam County. Just because a lot of people are thinking, well, it just improves downtown Palaca, but it improves the entire county. Lastly, I would like to say that lights are energy, and I believe the new LED lighting will give new energy and animation to the downtown and riverfront area. Bridge lights will give people a new reason to get down to the riverfront and enjoy all we have to offer. We have several people in this room that have put in millions of dollars and are going to continue to put in millions of dollars in downtown Palaca. The county participated in bringing Quint Studer in about creating a vibrant downtown. And to me, this is just part of that vibrant downtown. And that's all I have to say. I'd
Thank
like
you,
to move
Kim.
this forward.
Thank you, Commissioner Wilkins. Is that your motion?
Yes, sir, I'd like to make a motion that we move this project forward.
Do we have a second?
I'll second it for discussion.
We have a proper second. Mr. Adamczak, you have the floor for discussion.
I was on the fence the last time we talked about it, and I love the idea of the project, and I hate the idea that the money can only be used for the project, but it is what it is. There's nothing we do about that. But I'm going to take the liberty to just say this. There's areas of this county that today look like a third world country, and at some point, this commission and the state and whoever else gets elected to replace Bobby needs to take that into account with some of the funding and some of the things that go on here. I just had a situation yesterday where I went to a home, a couple days ago, and then they actually condemned the home. And we just have things like that going on everywhere. And at some point, we got to start focusing on those things. That's all.
Thank you, Mr. Adams. That Mr. Turner, you have the floor, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First, I'd like to commend Commissioner Wilkinson on a very well thought-out presentation. Using Mr. Sloan's analogy, if somebody gives you a car, if you just put gas in it and insurance on it and some maintenance in the future, then would you take the car? Well, yes, I would, unless they wanted me to repurchase a car later on to pay it back, and if I didn't repurchase that car when I paid it back, then they would purchase one for me and send me the bill. So that's the difference. I'm not against these lights. I'm truly not. What I'm against is the unknown liability that comes along with the lights. I don't have a problem paying the electricity for the lights, like Mr. Sloan's analogy, putting gas in the car, wonderful. I don't have a problem with that. What I do have is we don't know when these the units are going to go bad. We don't know. You can say they're supposed to last forever, doesn't mean they're going to last forever. So at some point in the future, we're going to have to I don't even mind maintaining the light bulbs. I don't. It's changing the units out. If the original cost was in the millions, then it's fair to say that it could. Not saying it would, but it could. And that's my whole point. This is an unknown, unfunded liability. It's unknown. We don't know what we're going to do. If DOT was to come to us and say, if you'll put in $20,000 a year, we'll put lights on your bridge, I'd be on board. Ain't no problem whatsoever. If they would give us an idea that somewhere in the future there wouldn't be a surprise at the end of the rainbow, I wouldn't be against this project at all. I'd be arm in arm with Commissioner Wilkinson leading the charge. I really would. I'm not against this project. I'm not. I'm just against the possible unfunded liability that could come at us in the future. So I think that's my biggest problem. Like I said, I'm not against the lights. I think they would be an addition to Palatka, a better addition to Palatka. I'm just not convinced that I can make myself get on board because of the unfunded unknowns involved in this. And that's my only thing against it. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Turner. Ms. Wilkinson?
Yes, Julianne, a question for you. Since we have to have a balanced budget, we cannot set aside $20,000 a year, can we, for a bridge project?
Sure, you could.
We could maintain that and keep it up?
Sure, if the
In a
board
reserve?
showed, right, you could do it in a reserve or an operational line for expenditures related to the maintenance and upkeep, or in this case, utilities. You could absolutely budget in a set amount of money, if so choose. And then at year end, when we talk about carry forwards, which we do frequently, if the balance of that carry forward, if the board directs that to be carried forward for the purpose of bridge lighting, repair, maintenance, modifications, then we would start that budget for the following year with the funds left from the prior year, plus whatever the board allocates for the new year.
Okay, thank you. I just want to say that in speaking with the building maintenance superintendent, Public Works in the city of Jacksonville, I did ask him one-on-one, I've done a ton of research on this, what he thought it would cost to replace the lights. And he said at the high end, if he had to replace all of the LED lights on one bridge, he thought it would be around $200,000 to $250,000. They also have 4 bridges in Jacksonville, and he said that they requested $60,000 to $100,000 annually for maintenance for all 4 of those bridges. And if we did that, that would equate to roughly about $15,000 to $20,000 a year putting back. He said the newest lighting from the Acosta Bridge that was updated for color changing LED in 2020, to date they have had an invoice for $3,600. So that bridge has been, those lights have been installed for 4 years, and they've had one small issue that they had to repair for $3,600. So that helped me get a little bit with not knowing the unknown, as you said, Mr. Turner. I agree with that. And there is nothing in writing that says that that the bridge lights to replace the light bulbs will be $200,000, but that was the closest I could get of another municipality that had some experience in dealing with these bridge lights. I also think that perhaps our gentleman from Miller Electric, if you want to ask questions, I think he could help with some of these questions.
Any other questions for the board? Mr. Pickens? Any questions?
I'll make comments. My concerns are very similar to Commissioner Turner's, is, the unseen, and to strap a board after I'm gone with the liability of this. I do have some of the same concerns as Commissioner Adams Act. After sitting in a Ride Solutions meeting where our funding has been cut, and Representative Payne has worked tirelessly to try to get more funding for Ride Solutions, which is a public transportation service for this county. But we've cut services. And I sat in this room last Thursday for about an hour. There were twice as many people in this room as are today. They were signing up for SHIP money, which is a state housing initiative program. They've got to get repairs for their house, or down payment assistance with some renovation. This just goes against my grain. I'll go ahead and apologize to everybody in this room and everybody in Putnam County, but I can't move this one forward. I appreciate Ms. Wilkinson's diligence. I appreciate her research. But I just can't do it, and I'm telling everybody right here on camera. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Pickens. Mr. Adams Act?
Yeah, so it is unfortunate sometimes the way government is financed or funded, right? It comes from different pools of money that unfortunately you can't use for different projects. So, the one way we do have to look at it as a commission is this pool of money was going to go to light a bridge somewhere in the state of Florida. The issue to me is, why not our bridge? That was the first question that ever came to my mind when it was first presented. I think it was at a club meeting somewhere that someone said, oh, this is an idea that might be coming. And I was really excited about it at the time. And the unfortunate part, through research, we found out this money cannot be used for anything else. If this community doesn't take it, it's going somewhere else. That has to be part of our decision-making process on this. I get the detracting statements of the future costs to future commissions. I am absolutely against setting aside $20,000 a year. I would withdraw my second in a second based on that. I just want to be clear on that, because it will be up to the future commissions to decide if they're going to light the bridge 3 hours or just one day a month or whatever. So that's where they have that flexibility. I think that'll more than accommodate the cost of electricity and things like that. LEDs are known to last for decades. It's a fact of the technology. So, if you were to get a bad set of LEDs, they're probably going to fail within the warranty period if it's some sort of burnout. And I don't think that happens very often either. So I just wanted to add that because just so the public knows, it's not like this money, because this has been out there in some news articles and different things where, well, we'd rather you use it for the roads. We don't have that option. I would rather use it for the roads too. That is not what's presented to us. We can't do that if we wanted to, and I'm sure even Representative Payne and everyone else would love to use it for roads instead, but that's not what the pool of money is for. So I just want to make sure everyone understood that. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Wilkinson, you have the floor.
Just a couple points I would like to make. Thank you, Commissioner Adamsack, for your comments, and you're exactly right. This money cannot be used for the SHIP program. It can't be used for food or other social services. If it did, I would be the first one in the room standing up and shouting, saying, let's put it toward that, but that's not what this is allowed to do. I truly believe that by adding these bridge lights, that we're going to end up being better off because of two reasons. We're going to bring funds to Putnam County. We're going to revitalize. This is going to be part of the revitalization that we're doing in downtown Palatka. And I believe it'll increase our tax base because more people will want to be here. It creates a community togetherness. It becomes a focal point for downtown. And there's just so many, so many aspects of the revitalization, and this is just part of that. And the other point that I want this board to completely understand is we need to maintain a good working relationship with FDOT. And the fact that they have $243 million in their 5-year work plan for Putnam County, if we turn this down, my concern is what happens to some of those funds 5 years out? Do they get moved further out? Do we get taken off the list? Do we get moved to the bottom of the list? My concern is that we need to maintain a good working relationship with all the agencies in Tallahassee, because when we need things, we want them to be supportive of us. And so that's one of the main reasons, one of the additional reasons that I think it's important to move it forward.
Thank you, Ms. Wilkinson. Mr. Turner, you have the floor.
Well, I agree that the DOT money can't be used for anything but DOT projects. I get it. But the money that it would cost to maintain and do the upgrades or do the whatever later on can be used for those other projects in Putnam County. And I agree that we need to maintain a working relationship with DOT to whatever level that we possibly can. I do agree that. And I've fought pretty hard with myself over this for just that reason. But in times past, and I don't know that it would even be considered in this instance, but in times past, when DOT had money budgeted for certain projects and we've gone to DOT and asked them, then they have allowed us in certain situations to use that money on other DOT projects that we felt like were more important. I can give you some examples. One of them was when the Ettenauer Bridge went out. DOT had given us money to use on another project and agreed to let us take that money and build the Ettenauer Bridge along with fund most of or the biggest part of the 310 bridge because that was an emergency situation. And that may not be an option here whatsoever. But I would really like to at least ask them, could we take that money and fund 17 South to where we had to put it off 2 more years on the 4-lane from Dunn's Creek down to Satsuma because they found an area of muck that they have to now build a bridge over? The $17 million would cover a big lion's share of that additional monies that made them have to put that project off for a couple of years. So, I don't know that they would. I don't know that this is even an option to let that happen. But I just, if I've got to pick between the very nice lights on the bridge that would make the community look better, or have a road built somewhere, if they would allow us to transfer that funding, I've got to pick the road over the decorative lights. I just have to. So that's all I got, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Turner. And I want to say I went to DOT last week for some of those explanations. They had a life and death situation happening, but truly the money is in silos and it's not allowed to be moved over. So I do believe that DOT is still a good partner. They still open the door for us. We still get to walk in there, and we still get to promote Putnam County. Is there not any more comments? We are going to take a vote. Okay, so all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign?
Aye.
It's 2-3. The project fails.
No. No.
Roll call vote.
No.
Ashley, will you do roll call?
No.
Yes.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Thank you. 3-2, we passed. Thank you. Sorry, I heard that wrong. All right. Moving on to our next item will be our quarterly budget reports.
Could we take a 5-minute recess?
We'll take a 3-minute break. Do what?
Bill's stepping into it.
You did a great job. I could not hear that, though. I don't know what's wrong with my ears. Or if it was really low. We're going to stay in new business, then we'll go back to appointments. Or we'll be done. One or the other is fixing to happen. Hopefully we'll be done. All right, we're going to reconvene our Board of County Commission meeting and go to item 8A, our quarterly budget reports. Julianne?
Thank you, Chairman. I'm here with your second quarter budget report, which also means as of the end of March, we are officially halfway through fiscal year 24. Several funds are included, reports are included in your packet. I will remind you as we go through them that governmental finance, governmental funding, budgets, they are not, they're cyclical in nature, so you are not going to see an even progression throughout the year. You're going to see some percents being, the first one in the general fund, we've collected 90% of our ad valorem taxes. That does not mean that at the year end we're going to have 180%. It simply means that as ad valorem taxes are generally collected in that first quarter, you'll see the majority, you'll see us trickle in there for the remainder of the year. The intergovernmental funds also trending a little bit high. These are mostly your grant payments and the cycles as they go. Your other revenues is a little above that 50%. That's based on equipment, land, sales is the primary driving force in there. So again, you're not going to see that duplicate. You're going to see it kind of continue as it goes. Our general fund expenditures are trending at about 40% of the year. This is a more even distribution, but still it is going to be cyclical in nature as well. Moving in the transportation fund, you'll see our taxes are trending at about 47%. Those are generated from your 9th cent and your local option. We have seen over the last several years a small decline in those revenues, and we're going to expect to see that for the next several years. Your charges for services and your grants, that's your interlocal, that's normal, something we would expect to see at this point in the year. Again, no concern in the transportation fund related to revenue. Your expenses are trending at 39% overall, which is on target for your 50% completion of your year. In the fire fund, your taxes, much like ad valorem and the general fund, are at 93%. Again, you're going to collect them heavy on the front side and then a very small amount through the rest of the year. Your interlocal governmental fund there is showing 101% of budget. That is a factor of grant revenue being posted. So if we go back to last year, the grant expense was expended in 23, then the reimbursement came in 24. They do not actually have a surplus in revenue. It is simply the 2 years are going to have to balance out for you to see that fund work like it should. Your personnel expenses in the fire fund are at 51%. Again, very expected for the fire service because we do have overtime in that fire service that's required. Otherwise, you're about 22% of operating. The sanitation fund is at 79% in their permits and fees, special assessments collections, 100% in their intergovernmental, overall 66% of revenues. Again, very normal. Their expenses are trending overall at about 29%, personnel being about 41%, very normal in that fund as well. The last fund that we report on is the 405, the East Putnam Water Fund. You're seeing the 16% in intergovernmental. These are, again, your grants. So remember, all of our grants work on a reimbursement basis. We've got to complete the project before you're going to see the revenues come in. Your charges for services are right at 49%. We should be at 50% of the year in charges for services, so we're right on target there. You're seeing a negative 33% in other revenue, very expected at this point in the year. That's primarily your interest earnings, which aren't posted into the accounts yet. Your expenses are overall at 15% on average, personnel expenses being 60% and operating being at 42%. The final report is new to this year. It is on your Board of County Commissioners capital outlay accounts for the 5 districts, and you will see there a breakdown of each district and what's been expended to date, as well as the current budget and the expense description. Any questions?
Julianne, I have a question for you, and I'm sorry I didn't call you on it, and I just saw it. Under the allocation that I've got, the money I spent for the Melrose lighting, it's under improvements other than buildings. Do we not have LED lights like we have for the other category?
No, sir. That's a function. Finance sets up based on what's happening and where we have multiple projects going on the same sports field, i.e. South Putnam also has some turf refurbishment going. There you need a distinction. However, at Melrose, the only project we have going right now is that light project, so it does have its own project code, so we have a multitude of ways where we track the individual projects, but it's a generic fund that was set up just for Melrose.
Any other questions for administration? All right, thank you very much, and we'll move on to item B, Value Adjustment Board appointments.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir, Mr. Turner.
I thought I brought it to Ms. Young's attention, but unless I misunderstood something here, last year, this is incorrect. Last year, you and I were on the board, but that's because we appointed this earlier in the year, but then when it comes time for the value adjustment, which is after the first of the year, the chair changes. So at that time, I thought that we had made a motion and passed it on the board that the current chairman and vice chairman would serve on the value adjustment board. So this didn't even need to come back to us unless I misunderstood or did something, which I'm prepared to make that motion today if that's the way it is, because that's the way it should be.
That's the way it should be.
When the chair changes in November, which we have no way of knowing who that's going to be for sure, but it should just be the chair and the vice chair every year that's on the value adjustment board, even though I would like to before I'm done, nominate Ms. Masters to go back on it again. I think she's interested, and so I would like to do that. So I nominate Julie Masters as the position for the Value Adjustment Board.
I'm on the Value Adjustment Board.
That's correct.
Yep.
It doesn't take a second just to vote, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. So do you want to answer the question on?
Yes, sir. I think that this was just a standard process that the clerk's office goes through. We received the request as included in your packet. I believe it's something they send out every year. I will get with them to determine if it can be modified or just basically not sent and defaulted to the elected positions that you guys direct.
That was the hope for it, because that's when we changed it, was when the chair changed in November.
Right.
Indeed, because Mr. Chairman and myself, because last year I was chairman and he was vice chairman, and so it changed this at November, and it made him and Vice Chairman Wilkinson, it made them members of the Value Adjustment Board. But at that time, I'm almost certain that we made a motion and we voted to just make the chairman and the vice chairman the members of the Value Adjustment Board every year.
Sure, no problem. I'll get with the clerk's office and see if we can update it to just include the nomination for the citizen.
Okay, can we vote on my
We
nomination, sir?
All in favor of the recommendation of Julie Masters, say aye. Aye. Pose like sign, the ayes have it. And do we want to go ahead and reaffirm that, or are you going to check into the vice chair and
You
chair?
want another motion?
Yeah, can you just reaffirm it?
Go right
It's the
ahead.
Yes,
easiest.
Mr. Chairman, I move that the chairman and vice chairman, the current chairman and vice chairman in place at the time serve on the Value Adjustment Board.
Second.
Proper motion, proper second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Pose like sign, the ayes have it. Item D, Planning and Development, Evaluation and Appraisal Report, direction requested.
Mr. Chairman, we can skip the presentation unless y'all want to hear it. This is
I've read
something
it.
we've got to do. So I move that we just accept the staff recommendation and move forward with the EAR reports.
We have proper motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay. I do want to clarify one thing in your letter on page 140. Commissioner Adams acts also on the board of the Regional Council. So if there's no further discussion, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. The ayes have it. Item E, Public Works, termination of St. John's Avenue multi-use trail.
We've already discussed this, Mr. Chairman, and this is just the affirming it, I believe. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Move approval.
Move approval to terminate the multi-use trail on St. John's Avenue. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have proper second. Any further discussion on that motion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. The ayes have it. Okay, we're going to go back up to appointments. Mr. Adamsack, do you have any appointments that need to be made? Mr. Turner?
I have none, sir.
Mr. Pickens?
I have none.
Ms. Wilkinson?
Yes, I need to appoint 5 members to the St. John's Harbor MSBU. Bill Thompson, Jack Gason, Ken Paxton, Jerry Ryan, and Tom Wooster. And those are my 4 recognized board members.
All right, good deal. Thank you. And do you have any others?
I have the list, Laura. I'll give it to you.
Okay. Any other appointments?
No, sir. That's it.
And I have none. Next on our agenda is our public comment on miscellaneous items. This portion of the agenda is designed to allow citizens an opportunity to bring matters to the attention of the board. It's not reasonable to expect the board will engage in debate or deliberations about matters which the board has not received any prior information on. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes. Comment cards are currently conveniently placed in the meeting room entrance and should be submitted prior to the meeting of the deputy clerk, who sits to my left and your right. Our first card is Mitchell Atwell. Boat race Memorial Day weekend. Okay. Did I mess up your name, sir? Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman, Board, for hearing me. My name is Mitch Atwell. I live at 144 Crest Breeze Manor in Crescent City. I've been in Putnam County. My family's had a place in Pomona Park forever. Grew up. Watched all kind of exciting things go on. The races in Lake Stella, the Azalea Festival. I just bought a place in Crescent City about 4 years ago. I was wanting to bring something back to Putnam County, bring some excitement back. I'm involved with a group called SOTA, Southern Outlaw Drag Boat Association. We do 4 or 5 races a year. I've been wellly entertained by Crescent City, the Putnam County Tourism Development, but I'm having a hard time coming up with sponsorships. In saying that, my whole point here is we have to have an ambulance and paramedics on site when we're racing. With the lack of sponsorships, I'm just here to see if there's any way the board could assist in helping us with some paramedics for that weekend. I'm looking at bringing 300-400 people to Putnam County that only 95% of my participants are not from Putnam County. So I'm bringing nothing but people to Putnam County to show off our little county.
Let me ask you a question. How much is the cost of the ambulance services that's being required?
Sir?
What's the cost of the ambulance services being required?
I have no clue. I mean, I know we got to have it for the 24. I've got to be there for the 2 days.
Okay.
We'll start Friday testing, but as far as our insurance that we carry, we have to have paramedics on site Saturday and Sunday when we race.
I think you need to know that.
Which will be from 11 to 5.
I'd get that number, and you got tourist development money too.
Yes, sir, but I don't believe I'm allowed to spend that for sporting on that.
Okay, you might want to check. Yeah, I don't think you are either, but.
So that's my biggest.
Well, I think you need to know the cost, and then I think you're in the, well, I don't know if you're in the right venue, but you're on TV and people are watching. Maybe somebody will have a benevolent heart to be able to pick up that cost for you.
Okay, well, I'm hoping, like I say, that we're doing it. We're a nonprofit organization, and all we're trying to do is just bring something back to Putnam County that's actually been a part of Putnam County for years. I've got a shirt from '99 from the Huddle House Challenge in Lake Stella.
Why don't you find out the cost and come back to our next meeting, and we'll give you an opportunity to say it on TV again.
All right, I will get with who I need. Like I say, I'm new. this is the first one I've actually tried to do myself, and I'm just trying to help my guys from down south. So yeah, I'll find out what I have to do to get that number, because I mean, I went there and they said, well, you need to go talk to the board about it. So just here's where I am. So
Thank you.
just
Commissioners,
thank
any
y'all,
comment?
and I mean, I just want to try to help out.
Mr. Turner has a comment. Then Mr. Pickett.
Is this something we do for other people, or do we always make people pay for ambulance services?
Yes, sir. I'm just going to use some other examples as such, like the Azalea Festival, the Blue Crab Festival, and any other festival that happens where the insurance requires it or the necessary municipality requires it, nonprofit, for-profit, however, we have to charge the base rate of the ambulance for those events, and that's by the board's direction in our fee schedule. When we have to supply an ambulance, it's I think it's $105 an hour. It's $35 for the employee, $35 for the two employees, and then it's $35 an hour for the ambulance itself to be there. So those are the current charges that are by our fee schedule, but we have not had an area that we could waive them. And I spoke to him, the gentleman the other day on the phone. So we don't have the authority and staff level to waive it, but I would err in caution because we have so many festivals and so many things that require that is just part of the expense of putting on the festival.
You know, this is our first time attempting to do this in Putnam County, and our hope is that we'll be welcome back, and maybe next time we'll have the money that we can pay the ambulance and the paramedics. But you know, you got to get your foot in the door before you can open it.
I understand. Thank you.
Okay, thank y'all.
Okay.
Hang on just a second.
Mr. Pickens.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Mr. Pickens.
Chairman Hart, I was going to say that, I've known Mitch for a number of years, and when he wanted to put this on, he came to see me. And one thing he did, he listened. And so I told him to go to the chamber, and 2 hours later, he was sitting there talking to Julie Linton and Dana Jones at the chamber, and I explained to him about tourist development. So he went through that process. He was awarded some money there. So he's trying to bring a new event. He's done it right. He's gone to the city of Crescent City and gotten it approved. So I'll get with you and we'll get with JR and we'll see if we can get some numbers of what you're looking at, and I'll see if we can find you some more sponsors. But I appreciate you doing it. It is on Memorial Day, so somebody will have an option of, if you don't want to go to Blue Crab, you can come down to Crescent City for that. And I think there's some other functions going on that day too. I think the farmers market is going on.
Yes, sir.
I think that day
show.
also.
Yes,
So anyway,
And,
okay. But I appreciate your efforts.
Okay, well, Mr. Pickens also say it ain't from a lack of me not trying to get
No, we get it.
sponsorships. I have beat these streets down.
All right.
Just thank y'all so much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Nicole Grace, keep Putnam beautiful.
He's actually spoken to me too. Good morning. Nicole Grace with Keep Putnam Beautiful. Our office is at 205 North 2nd Street in Palatka, Florida. I just wanted to let you know that we are up and running with our countywide cleanup. We have been out at Flora Home. We've been down at Willaca. In fact, I think we had 3 cleanups in Flora Home. Willaca, we had Girls Who Hike Florida took on Veterans Park. So they were not only on Riverfront, but they crossed the bridge and headed over and did Veterans Park as well. And I know sanitation helped out with picking that up. So that was wonderful. I was actually on a vacation during that cleanup. So it was amazing. We had such a great turnout, and you will not see one single selfie from me in it. It's all those volunteers that came out. So we're going to be going around all of the county, and we're looking for anyone that is looking to participate. It can be groups, it can be municipalities, and it can be individuals. And we do have some very passionate individuals that do their own cleanup, and we're open to that as well. So
Thank you, Nicole. Thank you. Next on our speaker list, Dan Steele.
Good morning. My name is Dan Steele. I live at 202 May Lane in West Putnam. I'm here about the roads again. In the past 2 weeks, a UPS driver got stuck right in the middle of Twin Lakes Boulevard, just west of Akron. Up on top of the hill, a lady was going to, she's a social worker, was going to an appointment. She got stuck. There was too much sand at the intersection. So she tried to go around it, and she buried it all the way to the axle. All the way to the frame on her car. It's getting worse. I know it's dry. We haven't had any rain. But if those 2 incidents would have been an ambulance, what are we going to do about human life? Could have been a patient in either one of those times there. It's getting kind of bad. Maybe we can hit Bobby Payne up for a little bit of a loan here to get some of these roads done out there. I don't know. But also, in Putnam County, it seems like we do a mile here and a mile there, okay? It's been proven that if you can do 4 or 5 miles, 6 miles in one area where the contractor doesn't have to move the equipment, move the manpower, the dozers, the compactors, the trucks, all this stuff, you can probably get a much better deal on doing these roads. And when he doesn't have to move stuff from one side of the county to the other. And I don't know if that'd be possible or not, but also there's also been talk about the hills out there on Twin Lakes and Monroe and stuff like this. I'm sure we've got engineers somewhere in this state that can figure out how to drain that water down to Trout Lake, and in a fairly good cost, you know, but I mean, I'm sure it can be done. And I'm sure if you probably could buy some lots somewhere along that are on the tax deed that people don't want anymore anyway, could be bought to use as reservoirs to collect this water on the way down that hill. I'm sure it can be done. And they talk about the water runoff off the blacktop. Well, there's clay on some of the spots on there, and I've been up there several times. The water runs off that clay just as much as it would off the blacktop. And we still got a problem. So, but I'm sure it can be worked out. But also, I don't believe in Putnam County, this is 2024, that anybody should have to go more than a quarter or a half a mile to go to a hardtop road. West Putnam has been...
Mr. Steele, time's up, sir.
Okay,
Thank
we
you.
need some work in West Putnam.
Thank you. Okay,
Thank
that's
you.
all of our cards. Is there anybody else? Seeing nobody else coming up, we'll close the public portion and go to Clerk of the Court, Matt Reynolds.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. I have nothing to update you with this morning.
Thank you. Mr. County Attorney Rich Commando.
Nothing additional. Thank you, sir.
County Administrator Mr. Terry Suggs.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman, thank you. Great meeting today. Just a couple quick things. One is, again, shout out to you five as well as my staff for the last couple of weeks. As you know, I left here at the last commission meeting and ended up in the hospital for 3 days with pancreatitis. And I'll be honest with you, I don't wish that on nobody. And that was a very difficult time for us. But I want to say that, wow, what an amazing staff we have. No calls, no issues other than, boss, how you doing? Want to make sure you're doing okay. Get back to find things are absolutely right where they're supposed to be. So, again, just want to say thank you for those folks for doing that for all of us. And secondly, as you know, I do everything I can to promote Putnam County. We got last month we had a family move into Putnam County, bought a house over in Satsuma. And this weekend was the Bassmaster Elite Tournament, and Julie and her folks and Dana at the Chamber done a marvelous job with that event. I had an opportunity to do that and brought my niece and nephew and her husband up from Port Charlotte, Punta Gorda, for the weekend to view that. And he's an avid fisherman. And Joe Wells loaded the family up on Saturday on his personal boat, and we toured the St. Johns River, and I think they fell in love with it as well. So who knows? We may have more family moving into Putnam County. So, you know, it's a gorgeous area, and I got to see things I hadn't saw before. So,
What do you hear? Be careful what you wish for.
yes, sir. And but no, it was a great event this weekend. My niece's husband actually had fish with some of the folks that were participating, so it was a great time. And but again, if you I'll steal a phrase from Buddy Goddard, Commissioner Goddard. If you don't know what's going on in Putnam County, you're on fault, because we've got something going all the time, and it's a beautiful community. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Mr. Adams, Commissioner comment?
I'd like to start off with a question that I had posed to you guys a couple weeks ago with regards to the ongoing investigation for HR with regards to, I don't want to name names, but just do we have a status update on that, where we're at and where we're tracking to be completed with that?
Yes, sir. It is currently open, but it is wrapping up, so you should have a wrap up here shortly.
Okay. And I've been getting several calls on that particular subject, so I don't know about the other commissioners. Could I also get a copy of the latest PUD for Hogwaller as well, sent to me? There's just a little bit of concerns that I have around, and I know that he has his own internal rules and stuff, and that is a private thing, but I thought we did have something in there about helmets on minors, and I just want to verify that.
We'll get you a copy of it.
All right. And then obviously we have a ton of stuff going on this weekend. I haven't been talking about events or whatever because I don't know why, but it's normally my bailiwick. But I'm very excited about all the different festivals and stuff coming up, and look forward to attending some of them.
Thank you. Mr. Turner.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. What is the current update on the Land Development Code? Didn't we set the date of when we're going to have a meeting with the Planning Commission? We did set that.
Yes, sir, we did.
Has somebody reached out to them and made sure that they had whatever copy that they want, whether it be electronic or whether it be written, where they would have it ahead of that meeting?
The direction from the board was you wanted them to have it 2 weeks in ahead.
A minimum of 2
Yes, sir.
weeks.
We worked with the consultant based on your meeting date selected. And so there is a timeline for which we are on target for. The consultant is finishing his revisions, and then staff's going to review, and we will have it a minimum of 2 weeks to each of the bodies before that meeting.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
You know, and I've always said since I've been here that it frustrates me sometimes how long it takes for the government to get something done. So I also think along that same line of smart comments that I make sometimes, that I need to give the devil his due, and for lack of a better term. We've got a lot of good projects that are being started right now. We really do. The scale house at the landfill, I think, is already done. The new office building has been going up, and I think they've got trusses on it. I haven't been over there in the last week or so. But the animal services, we started the site work on the site out there to get it started. I mean, so finally, we've started the animal services building. I mean, actually, shovels in the ground started it. We've got several projects that are on the street right now out for bid. Matt's project to try and do his service centers on the street, I believe. And so we've got a lot going on here too. And so, you know, it makes me happy to see a lot of these projects getting started and actually in progress while we're going on. So like I said, I thought it was good that we also bring out the good part, and it's not that it just takes, even though it did take us 10 years to build animal services, it started. Yay. So sometimes these projects take a while, but we need to give kudos to when we do get them started and bid and started and what have you. And that's all I have today, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Turner. Mr. Pickens?
Thank you, Chairman Harvey. Echo his comments. There are a lot of good things going, a lot of projects. Just want to congratulate Dana Jones and the Chamber and all the people that helped the BSSS to Elite 100. It did bring a lot of coverage to Palatka and Putnam County, and it will air a number of times, I'm sure. So just kudos to them. Also, I guess this weekend is the Blueberry Festival. So I know you'll talk about that. That's your home court. This will be the first time that my wife and I will not be able to attend and help with that festival, and we're going to miss it. So I'm sure it's going to be good. And that's all I got. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Pickens. Ms. Wilkinson?
Yeah, thank you. I want to mimic Commissioner Turner in commending staff and administration for the amount of projects that we have going on. I think where we were several years ago and where we're at today is phenomenal, and they've all worked really hard, and we are getting a lot done in Putnam County. And also thanks to the Chamber for the Bass Elite Tournament. My brother was in Ohio and saw commercials for Palatka, and he absolutely thought that was really cool. And of course, I'm going to send him a shirt. And then, of course, we have the Blueberry Festival this Saturday in Bostwick. Starts at 8 a.m. Pancakes start at 8 a.m. I'll be glad to take your $8 for breakfast. That's my job at the Blueberry Festival this year. So come and have some wonderful blueberries and support your local community. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Wilkinson. And I do want to also thank the Chamber and the Bass Elite. What a wonderful event that they put on. A lot of hard work, a lot of people get involved, and a lot of volunteers, and it's a big event. Since I've seen you last, we have had the Save Rodman Bass Tournament. That was a huge success, one of our biggest ones we've had, and the weather was just perfect for that. And the time is just really great. Again, we'll be out at the Blueberry this coming weekend, and we're going to do a groundbreaking soon for the animal shelter, so stay tuned for that. That will be coming, and we look forward to that. And if there's no other further business coming before this board, this meeting is adjourned. We have a ribbon cutting at 11:30, Rotary Park.
Oh, good job.